Casablanca Panama? Nope. Stupid Gulf Coast? Nope. Encon? Nope. So what is this thing? What we have here is a Union. This thing, this Panama knockoff, is a Union. Model name is Regent. This is a Union Regent. By Union, I mean Evergo / Union, you know, those two. Bit different, yeah? Haven't seen one of these before, have you? Neither have I. This is a 52-inch fan. It is antique, or it's bright brass and antique white. I put it in that order because the bottom plate, no, the sideband and blade irons are bright brass, whereas the bottom plate, or the top and bottom plates in this case, are antique white. Normally sideband would be white and bottom plate would be brass. So that would be white and brass. So brass and white is what you see here. So yeah, this is a Union Regent, a 52-inch span. It's weird, and I have never seen this before. In fact, I haven't seen a lot of standard Unions before. Every time they pop up, it's a new discovery, it seems like. Because with Union and Evergo, normally all you see are spinners. Spinners. Well, no, with Union in particular, all you usually see are spinners. Industrials, spinners, you know, those sorts. You don't see standard fans. You don't see standard models from Union very often. So, when I first saw this, I thought it was maybe a Gulf Coast Georgian, or however you want to pronounce that. I thought it was a Gulf Coast or something, or an Encon or something. Alright. Then, when I picked it up, I was just like, wait, something's not right here. This is a heavy little piggy. Also notice, the blade irons are very similar to that of, say, an Old Jacksonville. They're stubby, like an Old Jack. Almost as if they're the same irons, but they are likely not. Okay, this fan has a cast iron motor, a big 188 millimeter cast iron Union motor. It has a cast switch housing. So from a glance you think, oh, it's a Panama. No. This was one of the first knockoffs of the Panama. The Panama was introduced in 1982. This thing probably dates to 1984. I think 84 is when Union went to ball socket canopies for their standard fans. So, yeah. And then in 85 they went to a stamped steel switch housing. So this thing, it does not look like a Union at all. It looks very, very odd. And as you can see, kinda, the top plate has the same vents. So anyway, let's see just how this bizarre creature performs. We're starting on low. It has a bit of hum, which is normal for Unions, normal for a lot of imported 80s spinner fans, or spinner motor fans, I should say. You know, back in the day, stack motor fans were pretty quiet for the most part, whereas spinner motors seeing as the blade's mounted directly to the spinning motor, the hum would resonate through everything. Whereas with stack motor fans, you had a rubber flywheel to isolate a lot of the sound, and they were just quieter overall, in general. Albeit with a few exceptions. This fan had to have been in a kid's room, because the blades are covered in glow-in-the-dark stickers, which I'll probably keep on just because whatever, I don't care. So the low speed is slightly fast, but not overpoweringly so. It's already moving a good amount of air. So let's go to medium. The medium's slightly above average for a medium speed. Another thing worth noting here is that this fan has a 15-degree blade pitch. They are steeply pitched blades, which is unusual for a lot of imports. See, a lot of imports were either cheap in the sense that their motors weren't really geared for steep pitch, they were more geared for high speed and low pitch, you know, for, say, an industrial fan. So they'd run off of speed and they wouldn't move as much air. See, it's really moving some air now. Like I said, the motor in this is a 188mm motor, and it's fast and torquey. Unusually so for an import. By the way, Unions were made in Hong Kong. So, or at least the ones with the cast motors, they were made in Hong Kong. Newer ones may have been made somewhere else. I need to check up on that. Anyway, let's go to high. This thing flies. It's probably doing about 200 RPM with a 15-degree blade pitch. So, in terms of performance, this fan rivals not only stack motor fans, it rivals the Hunter original. Okay, because the original has a 15-degree pitch and the RPM is around 200. This is about the same. And if anything, the blades are slightly longer due to the stubby blade irons, which ordinarily probably would have been for a 50-inch fan if they were for an Old Jack, or Old Jacksonville. So they have longer blades to compensate, and therefore more blade coverage, and in a sense more air movement. Thing really hauls ass. But then again, I've come to expect this from cast iron motor unions. Evergo's used different motors for the most part. Some Evergo's used the same large 188mm motor, but a bunch of other ones used a smaller, about, I want to say, 172mm cast aluminum motor. They weren't as powerful. Blade pitch was probably around 11 or 12 degrees. Not as good. These are powerhouses. And we let it coast. The bearings are slightly stiff. Slightly. But I guess that's also to be expected because these motors do run a little warm. And this fan is almost 35 years old, so I mean, it's to be expected. Now let's reverse it. Starting on low. The low speed is a little slower in updraft. In fact, all the speeds are, because this motor, as I may have mentioned before, is geared towards really one direction rather than both. Meaning it has a bias towards downdraft because that's the direction in which all the industrial fans typically run. So the motor is geared more towards downdraft in terms of speed. It's not really meant for reverse. But unlike a lot of industrial motors, a lot of other import motors, this one has a lot of torque. Which leads me to believe that it's just larger overall. And you don't see fans with brass and white very often, you know, brass side band and white bottom plate. I know Casablanca offered it as well, but a few others did, and it wasn't a very long-lived thing. Now the medium. Yeah, the down rod on the fan is not original. It's an antique brass rod I had lying around because when I got this fan, it did not have its down rod. Yeah, it's canopy, but not its rod. So, thinking maybe the previous owners decided they just wanted to keep the rod and use it with their new fan. I don't know. Or maybe they lost it. Again, I have no idea. Now the medium in updraft is more normal. It's more of what you would expect from Casablanca's medium speed, which itself is slightly below normal, so that's also what this is. Now to high. It is considerably slower on high. But for updraft, that's not a big deal because you don't want a rush of air going towards the ceiling a lot of the time. If anything, you want slower speeds because you want gentle recirculation of the hot air from the ceiling. On updraft high, I would say the RPM's around 160. Maybe 165. Something like that. It's not particularly fast. But yeah, so downdraft is really where it shines. Now let's turn it off. And And there you have it, a Union Regent, made by Union Ngok Kee Electrical Manufacturing Limited of Hong Kong.